Hello.
Hi.
Shall we just plough on?
Yes.
That'll be the Tism.
Welcome to episode 33 of That'll Be the Tism.
Yes. I'm Emma.
I'm Claire.
And we are a podcast about our lives as late diagnosed neurodivergent people trying to adult and occasionally mentioning Terry Wogan.
Terry Wogan. We love Terry Wogan. That's my little Terry Wogan song. Episode 32 was called Constant Frog Pressure, and that was a direct quote from the mind of me.
It
And
was.
probably the most sensible thing that was said in that podcast.
Potentially it was. Is that the first youism? Is it the first Claireism?
I think it is, yeah. Mark it down, Tism
We
fam.
go. It's a momentous occasion.
Yes. I don't need constant frog pressure today.
No,
but
that's
my frog
good.
is still here just in case.
It's progress.
You'll be pleased to know.
You've still got him.
Yeah, I need a name for him. Maybe the listeners can help me with what his name is.
Freddie.
Freddie?
Frida?
I should have asked your son when he was questioning me on everything in the world on Saturday. I should have said, what's a good name for a frog?
Yeah.
He would have known. Ask him, please.
I will do. Do you want me to message him now?
You message him after the podcast because we're in the middle of a podcast.
Yeah, but wouldn't it be good if later in the podcast he came back?
Oh, yes, he can be included.
Then he can be included. I've messaged him. He might come back to me.
It depends how busy he is with his life and of being a tyrant on Minecraft, really, doesn't it? So we should rewind and explain why I was talking to Emma's son at the weekend, because it's not a regular occurrence that he gets to quiz me about life.
No, but he did. He was a very good quizmaster.
We had an in-person meeting.
We did.
Not just me and your son.
No, that would be odd.
But me and you and our friend of the show and
Another friend
to go and see Six the Musical, which is one of my verging on special interests, I think. Like, I know a lot about Six the Musical, and I sometimes have dreams about being Anne Boleyn.
Right, okay.
Not like that I want to be cast. It's not like a dream of mine. It's just occasionally I'll have dreams where I am in Six the Musical.
Okay.
And I just have to try and figure out how to do all the choreography, which is very difficult when your legs hardly work.
Yeah, and it's quite complex choreography, some of it.
Oh, God, yeah. That would not be very good for me.
No.
But yes, we went to see Six the Musical.
We did.
It was an exciting time.
It was good. I've had... Which one is the one that got beheaded, the second one?
Howard. All you wanna do, all you wanna do, baby.
That one.
We're not sponsored by Six the Musical, but I would enjoy that.
I've had Catherine Howard's song in my head.
I've had Catherine Parr.
Today
is what I've been singing, the remix.
That was good, that. I really liked how they tied it up and brought it back. And I know that that's the point, but it gets you like, what are they doing? Why are they making this a competition? And then they bring it back round and tie it all together. And I thought it was really well done.
Yeah.
And it was interesting, and it was different kind of music to what I was expecting.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but I don't know what I was expecting, so I don't...
They're like, I guess if you'd not looked into it at all, you could sort of be forgiven. Like, I think that's what put me off it for so long, because you think, oh, it's a musical about the wives of Henry VIII, and you think, oh, that's going to be a bit boring and dry because it's...
See, I never thought that. I've always been quite interested. I think when I was at school, the Tudors was one of the most interesting periods in history.
It's not like a scenes thing.
No, it's not a documentary.
It's under thread of it is that it's a competition, and they're a girl band and they're competing against each other, which if you knew that beforehand, you would be able to guess sort of how the music would sound.
Yeah, I suppose,
Do you know that, this is a tangent, but it's one of my special interests, so each of the queens is based off of a female pop star of the noughties. And
Oh,
yeah.
oh, that's interesting.
So Catherine of Aragon is Beyonce
Yeah,
adjacent.
I can see that.
Berlin is Lily Allen, I think.
Jane Seymour's got to be Adele.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think that Cleves is Rihanna.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, I can see that.
And Howard is Ariana Grande,
That makes sense.
I think. And Parr is Alicia Keys.
You can see it in the hair.
Yeah, and the sort of like, if you think about the like
The
how
way
all
they
of their
stand.
songs sound.
Yeah, and the outfits and yeah, no, I can see that now. I didn't know that. But that's interesting.
Yeah.
That's cool.
But there's little things like that you find out afterwards, or like I
Mm.
think I knew it before I saw them. It's the details that go into it, like the costumes. And you were saying you wanted to look into what the colours meant.
And yeah, you were saying that the silver, because we had an understudy in, not an understudy, but a cover
A cover, yeah, that will eventually do all 6 of them.
that will do all 6,
which is
and we'll
mad
wear
in
the silver.
itself, yeah.
We'll wear the silver outfit in.
You know the song at the end where they all sing a little bit of their song?
Yeah.
That's called the Mega Six.
Yeah.
And eventually there's clips online where the Super Swing they
Oh,
call
he's
them.
doing all of them. That's
He's
cool.
doing all of them, yeah.
Oh, that's a good idea. Yeah, I'll have to look
And
it
they
up.
used to have they call them alternates. They only cover 2 of the queens and they get a couple of shows every couple of weeks. But they also used to be able to get the opportunity to learn all of the different queens. And the one that played Anne Boleyn now, she was the cover for Anne Boleyn and Catherine Howard on a previous tour, but she also did 5 out of the 6 queens. So, but they don't do that anymore.
No. No, it was good, and it was kind of weird because there was the 4 of us that went, and the 3 of us plus you, and you're the only one who knew anything about it.
Yeah.
I was going because I knew you liked it, and then both of the others were like, "Oh, this sounds intriguing. Yeah, I've been intrigued by this."
Let's go.
And then our other friend and listener of the show sent me some messages yesterday because she's gone on a Tudor rabbit hole, which was quite cool. And it was, I think, a bit reassuring for you that actually we've all gone and we've all liked it, and we wouldn't have been there if it wasn't for your recommendations.
Yeah. I imagine some would go and just think, well, is that it?
Yeah. But I think it was nice, though. It was a nice length. It was good.
Well, that's what we did.
We did.
In person.
Yeah.
And we've just got on to Catchups just accidentally there, really, haven't we? But consider it, I mean, it wouldn't be hard to do, but it's still more structured than the last episode of the podcast. So we're doing all right.
I think everything is more structured than the last episode of the podcast.
Especially considering that if the last episode hadn't been a spoonless episode, today definitely would have been, because I am absolutely knackered and we're both hormonal and life is being lifey.
It has been lifey. And on that note, how have you been, Claire?
Hyperfocus of the week.
Well, I would say that 6 was a hyperfocus of some description.
I think so.
But other than that, I've just been a bit tired and hormonal. I was very much last week overthinking things and stressing out about things. I was convinced there was something wrong with the dog again. I could feel myself ruminating more and getting anxious about things. I was like, why was that? And that was because my time of the month came less than a month before the last one did, which is an exciting part of aging that I'm not enjoying. And as soon as it came, I was just like, yeah, no, that's why I've been obsessive and anxious. Because the thing with me is when I feel anxious, I find reasons why that might be. I invent reasons why that might be.
Yeah.
Things that I can worry about. That's when my rumination and my overthinking is at its worst, and when I can't listen to sense about things. So that's been fun. And then hyper focus wise, it has been crochet because my mum drop
Mum drop calling.
Yes, is doing a poppy display for Remembrance Sunday. There's loads of places done them. It's like a curtain of poppies, basically. So
Oh,
he's
right.
having people in the village crocheting or knitting poppies to go on this display for the village. And obviously I like crocheting, so I was going to see how I went with the pattern. And then initially the pattern, I didn't like it and I thought that it was rubbish and I didn't understand it. So I was like, nah, I'm going to find one on YouTube. And I taught myself how to do the one on YouTube. And then I came back and there's another pattern that my mum had found. So I tried that. So I currently got about 9 or 10 different poppies. Let me show the viewers of the podcast, of which my mum will be one, my various poppies. So there's that type of one, which is 2-petaled ones.
Mm.
That one's the 3-petaled one. They're still a bit messy because I've not done all the ends in. That's the 3-petaled one that I don't think works very well.
Mm-hmm.
That's the 4-petaled one that I found on YouTube.
Nice.
And then I went a bit rogue and I started using a bigger needle. So,
Gasp.
yeah.
That
So,
looks quite cool.
yeah.
Hmm.
And then I just went completely off piste and just decided to do my own patterns.
Oh,
And they're my
nice.
favourite ones.
That's quite
I
cool.
thought I liked that so much that I did another one.
Nice. You'll have to put a picture for the listeners that don't watch the videos.
Yeah, of all
in
of my pops.
socials.
Yeah, and then when it gets to Remembrance Sunday, I will share my mum's creation from all of the
Yeah.
different poppies in the village.
Awesome. Segue, but
Yeah.
my son's dad asked
Yeah.
me what the question was. I said, what does he want to call Claire's frog? And so
Exclusive.
your frog
Let me
is
get my
called
frog.
is called I don't know. You don't have to call the frog this, okay?
Mm.
He wants to call it Claire_2.
Of course he does.
So there you go. That is what my son would name your
Yeah.
frog.
I hope that that's not because he thinks that I look like a frog.
I doubt it. It's just him being him. He is a strange being. It's like a mini me. So
Claire_2 is the frog's new name.
Yeah, Claire_2.
So yeah, so 6 crochet.
Yeah.
Overthinking, and now I am a tired person because of the weekend.
It's good that you came though. It was nice. It was a nice time.
Yeah.
My times have been, we went to Tokonatsu. I'm going to talk a little bit about that because that's what I'm going to do this time every year. Let's talk a bit about Tokonatsu. I met a fan of the show, which was lovely. In the toilets, things happen in the toilets. Saying things happen in the toilets at Tokonatsu sounds dodgy as old anything. But last year I got recognised in the toilets, and that was from TikTok. And this year I don't really use TikTok very much anymore, apart from with the podcast, which is something that you do, not me.
You do use it sometimes, don't you?
I do.
Too.
Yeah, it's a tricky one for me because it's not a place I'm particularly comfortable, and I find it really overstimulating. So it's not somewhere I spend time.
You're not a viewer, you're a creator.
No, yeah, and that's few and far between. But yeah, so last year I was recognised in the toilets. This year I was recognised in the toilets as well. But yes, I'm really pleased that we have listeners.
Do you think that that's because people only recognise social media, like you only look like that person when you're in the toilet, or think that people find you most approachable in the toilets?
I don't know. I think
just whilst you're like on the actual loo. Excuse me, have you got a podcast?
No, it was washing
I'm
my
going to do that next time we're in the loo together.
Please don't. But no, I think it's probably just a security thing, isn't it? Because at the end of the day, less people around generally.
Oh, maybe. But
there was a couple of other people around. It was quite cool because I said the name and then a couple of people laughed. I said that'll be the Tism, and I was like, well, that's what it's called though, because obviously we're funny, aren't we?
Yeah.
But yes, it was nice to meet that person, and yeah, so that was good. But Tokonatsu was amazing. It always is. It was very hot this year. There was recorded temperatures. They came around on Sunday and told everyone that if they had aerosols to go and get them out of the tents and vent the tents, because a recorded temperature of 47 degrees in a tent.
Christ.
So they like came round and told everyone to stay hydrated, and they pushed back the closing ceremony by an hour and everything else because it was too hot. This year at Toko, we mainly did crafting panels. So I painted a lantern and I felted a demonic bunny for my son. The theme of the year was rabbits. And then I did some sashiko, which is Japanese embroidery, which is like basically a running stitch to make a pattern. And they use it to fix clothing. And it was quite cool. I'd never done it in that particular way. I made a coaster. It was really cool. It was really nice because that panel gets booked up really fast and there was really few spaces. You had to book it before the event. And I was the only one in my friendship circle to book it. And I'm pretty sure actually that said fan of the podcast was sat next to me at the panel, but I don't want to put money on that because I'm not great with people's faces. But I booked on it and it was nice to just sit for 2 hours and stitch. And then we chilled out at the tent loads. We made an amazing game up, which you will like. It was like an intros round, but we were on Spotify and we were like skipping to the next song from a 90s playlist and we had to meow it. And other people had, it was really fun.
I would enjoy that, yeah.
Yeah, you would. You would
I'd
really
be good
enjoy
at
it. Yeah,
I think.
good. And it needs to be a thing that we create because it was a lot of fun. And we spent 10 hours playing this RPG with my friend who he's the games master, and he brought this RPG which was based around the Brendan Sanderson book Stormlight. We played a little bit of it last year, but this year he had the actual thing. So we spent like 10 hours doing that, and that was good. We did spend a lot of time creating characters. I mean, my character's called Brenda. She has a ginger mullet. She's a scholar with a ginger mullet and one leg thicker than the other because I had to draw her. And the drawing came out with one leg thicker than the other. So it became a defining characteristic when she does high
Well,
kick.
that's fine. I mean, I've never measured my legs, so maybe one of them is thicker than the other.
I mean, if it was as much
Have
thicker.
you ever measured your legs?
I haven't, but if it was as much thicker as Brenda's, it would be obvious because significantly. We were talking at one point about if she, depending on how much she likes you, will impact which leg she'll kick you with. Because if she wants it to have a bigger impact, she'll use the heavier leg.
Well, yeah.
Because it would obviously injure more people. Anyway, yeah, so we did that. That was cool. I think we're going to do Zoom role playing, which is a new thing for me. I'm not very good at using my imagination in a lot of situations, and me and my friend are like kind of opposites in how we approach the game, and I'm very like trying to move the game forward, and she's very much like creating this amazing character who somehow she's this cleaner called Shazza, right? And somehow by the time we're at the end of chapter 1 of the game, Shazza already has a couple of bandits that are just following her around, like being her little lapdogs because she's talked them into it. She's amazing. It's absolutely incredible to watch her react to things. She's got a brilliant imagination. So it's really cool. I think we make quite a good team with my fiance as well. So yes, it was good. It was nice. I liked Toko. Last week was quite tricky to get back into work because yeah, I am notably better at taking time off than I was this time last year, which is nice to acknowledge. But it also means that I'm worse at getting back into work, which isn't so good. But never mind.
It's transitions, isn't it? And routines and being out of routines and
Yeah, I think
that'll be the tism.
I think because I'm going on holiday again this weekend, we're going to Scotland to see my wedding dress, which is an exciting thing. I've got a week back, but it was a week and a day and a half. I had Thursday afternoon and Friday last week, and that just was like, I'm not going to be able to focus in this time at all. So my brain was just like, I'm going to do the coaching sessions I need to do. And I mean, I did, but I didn't really do anything else. But yeah, I've been nominated for an award. That's probably a good thing to mention on the podcast, isn't it? I've been nominated for a Flamingo Business Award in the Coach Connoisseur category.
Yeah. Do you have to stand on one leg if you get?
I really hope not, because I've got dyspraxia, no spatial awareness,
You have to
depth
find
perception, because my eyes don't work together. So if I do have to stand on one leg, I'm not going to be getting the award.
out.
If I get through to the finalists, there'll be options to vote for me later in the year. But as it stands, it was quite nice to be nominated. I'm not really a business awards kind of person. It's weird. It's like a big, scary thing. I have thought about, oh, it would be nice actually every now and then, but it's always only been a fleeting thought. And the client that nominated me for the award sent me a really lovely voice note that made me cry after. Listener of the show also, I believe. And that was it's really nice and validating, and it was perfectly timed because coming back from holiday, when I was struggling to get back into work, I'm like, actually, I am making a difference to people's lives, and it is really nice to have that validation. But yeah, business award nominee officially 2020.
Number of legs required pending. What if one of them's thick and one of them's thin?
You'd have to stand on the thick one, wouldn't you? Because otherwise you'd end up overbalanced.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think it'll be Brenda accepting the award, though. That would be...
You never know.
It would be a lot of dedication to make myself have a ginger mullet after spending a long time repurpling for the wedding.
Yeah.
But, never say never. I don't think my fiancé would like it. By then, he will be my husband. That's weird because the awards ceremony is in November, which is after the wedding. Time that I'm learning exists after the wedding. Post-wedding is happening. We've started booking things in after the wedding, which is like a time that I can't really comprehend currently. But yeah, so I don't think he'd appreciate it if I swapped my purple hair for a ginger mullet.
No, maybe not.
Can't see it going down well, to be honest.
But if that's what you want to do,
yeah, I'll have to just tell him that that's what's happening, and he'll have to just live with it.
Maybe in the vows you should have in sickness and in health, and
Brenda.
mullets or no mullets or baldness. No, it's not getting married to Brenda.
Brenda.
Just need to have a mullet clause. Well, mullets have come back, haven't they? Mullets are quite trendy now.
They are, but actually they look worse than they did in the 80s and 90s as well because of the way that they're done.
They're not a choice that I would make.
Not really, but
whatever Brenda wants to do is fine by me.
Thanks. I'm grateful.
So,
anyway, main section. Rave?
Oh shit.
Where's everything saved?
Shall I just sing it?
No. I mean, you can start to sing it if you want, but
rave. Where's the rave?
Rave? Are you ready? It's opening. There we go. That was the rave. And now we're going on
what I said.
Yeah, it's exactly what you said. And now we're going on to the main section.
The main section.
The section of mains.
Yes.
I don't need to do that. How do we summarise? Well, the first thing to say is that we're bending the rules yet again in episode 23, and that we're not going to have a traitor for the week. We're just going to have an extended main section because it's going to cover a number of related scenarios around autism in the media, which is a thing at the moment, isn't it?
It's been a bit of a rubbish
all
time.
of the time.
It's a thing all the time, but it's been a bit of a rubbish few weeks, and there's been things happen that we've both felt reasonably strongly about, and we were umming and ahhing about whether to say anything or whether not to say anything or what to say or what to do. And yeah, this is kind of a culmination of a number of conversations that we've had, because I get very frustrated when judgment happens of people that are on stages. By on stages, I mean famous people that are being interviewed or that have disclosed diagnoses or anything else. I get very frustrated when people judge them for the language they're using, for the things they're saying, for the things they're doing, because everyone is only human. And I get very cross when I work with so many people who are adjusting to diagnoses of autism and ADHD, and I know that person who's talking about it is very likely, obviously I don't know them personally, but is very likely going through, how does this fit with my life? Yes, it explains lots of things, but what does it mean? And trying to figure out who they are and how their autism looks and how it links to the stigma and the stereotypes and how to cope with it and all the rest of it. And then the public see a snippet of that and put that person through an absolute nightmare as a result. And it really makes me cross. So that was kind of the motivation, wasn't it?
Yeah, so the thing with autism and neurodivergence for a long while, a trend that I've noticed in the media is speaking about overdiagnosis and playing into this. Everyone's got autism nowadays. Everybody's a little bit autistic. Where does it end? Why are they all getting this diagnosis? And looking into it from a perspective of what are they trying to get out of it, money-wise, sympathy-wise. And it's, for the majority of people, as we said, it's not about that. It's about understanding yourself and being able to explain what you need and being able to get what will make the world accessible to you as a person who is disabled by the ways that your brain works. And I don't want to speak on it in too much detail, and maybe you can if you want to, but I've purposely avoided what this person said because I didn't want to get angered by it and go down a rabbit hole of Tism social justice, which I do. Is a psychologist called Uta Frith. It was back in March, apparently, that she had said that the autism spectrum had widened to the point of collapse, and that some of the people that have been diagnosed might ultimately be served by a different label. That's a summary of that. And then gradually she's kept saying more things about how some people that have been diagnosed with autism, it's not autism. There's too many people being diagnosed with autism. Certain celebrities are not autistic.
Yes.
One of the most recent things that she said about a TV presenter in the UK called Chris Packham, who has only recently, in the past couple of years, come out and said that he was autistic and
He's done
some of the
such a lot.
struggles that he's had. Yeah.
Done such a lot for the autistic community and spreading awareness and raising awareness. And it's just so minimizing. And there's the new paper that was published on the 4th of August, which is why it's kind of come back into the news now. When I know that there's a few people have said that there's a lot of overlapping conditions with autism that are learning disabilities that impact how autism presents. And with a lot of late diagnosed people, those learning disabilities aren't also present. And then obviously you've got the spectrum of how different traits impact as well. So it's like maybe
And ADHD
yes,
not being a thing until, was it 2013 or something like that? You couldn't have both, could you? You couldn't have both diagnoses until relatively recently.
No, it has been mentioned in the paper that she's written with ADHD, major depressive disorder, and PTSD, and saying that that should change the classification of the diagnosis. And I do need to read it a bit more, but I don't think that her opinion of how it should be classified gives her the right to come out and dispute and say this is wrong and this person isn't. This person isn't autistic because they can present a TV show. This person is not autistic because their life is public. It's such a minimal part of the autistic spectrum that she's talking about. And one of the reasons why it was broadened was to be more inclusive and to help stop the whole different kinds of autism are better or worse. And by trying to segregate it back up again, what you're saying is that that was a mistake. And actually, we do need to have sort of different levels and different kind of.
It's just it would be a very tricky thing to do because you
Yes.
risk the idea that autism is a competition.
Yeah.
And by coming out like she has and speaking on particular people potentially not being autistic because they don't fit that initial definition of what she believes autism to be, having been one of the people that originally worked on it. It plays into the whole what autism looks like thing, which I know is a thing that you've spoken about on your social media before, the whole you don't look autistic.
Yeah.
What does autism look like?
Yeah.
Autism can look like this, it can look like this, it can look like this. And just because that's only coming out now doesn't mean that it's not the truth.
Yeah. Because the human experience is changing and morphing and growing and evolving like all of the time. And the more understanding there is, things are bound to open up because you're increasing
Understanding
awareness.
and science is, it's evolving all the time, what we know about the world and what we know about each other and our physiology, and it's
To
differences
say that
we can
when I
have.
was working on this in the 70s, this is what it looked like, and now it's just gone too far, is like, but that's how science works. That's how research works. And if that's what's happened, then that's what's happened. And you can't just invalidate someone's experience by saying, oh, but I did this, I've done this. And I mean, I haven't read enough of the details to be able to comment in great depth, but it really makes me cross when people invalidate other people's experiences in every situation because everyone is entitled to their own experience. And Chris Packham, for example, as who's been mentioned, was diagnosed by a clinician who was
Not by
allowed to diagnose people because they know what they're talking about. And you can't just look at someone on the surface and say, oh, well, because they can do that. And I mean, Chris Packham has made a career out of presenting on topics that are his special interests, so that he is very knowledgeable and very enthusiastic about. And that's how he's managed to sort of nerd out and use his autistic special interests as an advantage to give him a career in presenting TV and presenting it very well. And now he knows about autism and he is raising awareness and helping others understand their autism. And that's just, to me, is a great thing to do. So to have someone come along and say, nah, mate.
It's helping to change, as we've said before, speaking on your experience as an autistic person is powerful because it shows that there isn't just one type of autism. And that's what he's come out and done, is gone, this is what autism looks like for me. And there will be people in the world that will have gone, oh, okay. Similarly to like how when we speak about autism, people go, oh, okay. I think differently about that now.
Yes.
But then for people that are supposed experts to come out and go,
No.
nah, he's not. I mean, I've seen him on the television, so that means that I can diagnose him.
Yeah.
It not only invalidates Chris Packham, but it invalidates the clinician that diagnosed him.
That's true.
And I don't know whether to read it out, but did you see the thing that I shared from, he's an illustrator, isn't he, Pete Warmby, isn't it, an author? I thought I shared it with you, but you were at Taco, so imagine that when we first found out about cheese, it was on a big plate of chips. The doctor comes along and says, oh, look, these chips have something on them, I'll call it cheese. Then someone sees some cheese on its own, or in a sandwich, or a lovely jacket potato, and they say, oh, look, here's some cheese as well. And the doctor is unconvinced. No, they say, this is not cheese, for it is not on any chips. This must be something else, and it has no similarity to the cheese on the cheesy chips over there. Cheese keeps being found all over the place, but no, the doctor says, none of this is cheese. It can only be cheese if there are chips. You are broadening the concept of cheese too far. It will be meaningless.
Honestly, I love Pete Warmby. He's great. His book, Untypical, is awesome. It's one of my favourite books about autism. And that's epic. And it's cheese and autism.
And it's cheese and autism, which is why I shared it,
That would be
I
the
just
cheese
thought
and all over
it's a
again.
perfect way to say, just because you've seen autism in one way doesn't then mean that you can find autism elsewhere looking differently and it's not autism.
No.
Is the summary of that. It feeds back into all of this, the idea that people are just making it up for attention rather than because they've not had answers and been beating themselves up and feeling like rubbish for the majority of their lives. And now they've finally found something that can give them those answers and help them to understand themselves like they never have before.
Yeah.
How can that be something that you wouldn't want somebody to do?
Absolutely.
But it feeds into this
The narrative at the
sort of the
moment.
derision of it, of trying to pull it back to either people with disabilities and autism being lesser and not deserving the support that they get, and all of the equality stuff that's been brought in. A lot of that's being stripped back, and people that are different are being told, no, you don't deserve to have the stuff that you need to fit in this world.
Yeah.
That's what it's all around, this sort of insidious thing that it's slowly starting to erode people needing anything to help them.
A lot of it is so ableist that it's just people
But it's for a
deserve to be
purpose, and it's for a
happy.
purpose to turn people against each other, which I guess maybe
Yeah.
sort of leads into Robbie Williams.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's another case of someone talking in a different way about their experience, isn't it?
Speaking in a way that potentially wasn't, having watched it, we can sort of go, and knowing Robbie Williams, because we've been a fan of him for a long time, go, most likely he was joking when he said it's a get out of jail free card.
It blatantly, it wasn't. The thing is, it's a massive interview about a completely unrelated topic, and in a very Robbie Williams way, he said that he was a bit autistic now and referred to it as his get out of jail free card, but he was obviously saying it as a part of his humor and his joking
A
personality
way
that
of like,
and so many people when they get a diagnosis of autism just don't really know how to tell people or what to do about it. And as I've said to other people over the past couple of days, there are lines that we have said in this podcast that if somebody just took that line without any of the further context around it from that's come out of my mouth, and that happens on a relatively frequent basis, you can take a sentence that someone said and make it sound horrific. Whereas if you look at the whole interview and you include his talking about his intrusive thoughts and his need for a creative outlet, and, for example, being distracted by someone talking in the audience and not being able to focus because of that, there's so much more to it than those two sentences that have been quoted in the British media and basically have completely made him out to sound like he's some kind of monster trivializing autism. And he said himself that it has given him an answer to so many of the things that he's not understood about himself. And that's the key, isn't it? It's giving people an answer to what they don't understand or what confuses them about themselves or their weird stuff, the weird stuff they do that they've always thought. I mean, I know that my autism is the cause of a lot more of my weird stuff than my ADHD. I mean, my ADHD is a cause of a lot of things, but like my quirks around food and my quirks around routines and how I understand things and how I approach things in my own special way, as I've said, is down to autism. And that is the kind of stuff that it's like, don't mind me, I'm autistic. It's not meant as a slur. It's not meant as an insult. It's meant as a way to laugh at ourselves for the things that we do that we can say, oh no, that'll be the Tism, which is why we call the podcast
yeah,
that,
exactly.
and some people might even be offended by that'll be the Tism name. I know that when I first mentioned it to a friend of ours, she was like, you can't call a podcast that. I'm like, why? Why not? What's wrong with it? It's a conversation and it's a tone of voice, and it's really good to be able to approach this in a way that is more light-hearted, because it's really crap at times to be autistic, and to be able to sort of spin it around and give it more of a, yes, we can look at this and understand it and laugh at it at the same time. It's really important to be able to do that, and it's unfortunate that when you're on a stage like Robbie Williams and the media are scrutinizing everything you do and every move you make and everything you say, and they can pick out certain words and then use them to endorse the narrative that this is just a joke. It's cruel of the media to do that. And I think that it's just really unfortunate.
I think it's come at a time where it's fed perfectly into the whole furore about whether it's a real thing, when in actual fact, if something's a difficult topic to discuss, the easiest thing to do is to make a joke about it.
Yeah.
That's why there are disabled comedians and
Yes.
do you know what I mean? Because you can make those jokes and you can say, maybe not it's a get out of jail free card, but it goes back to being able to speak about your experience and your autism with whatever words you want to use.
Yeah.
And your experience is going to be different to my experience, so you might use different words to explain that experience. And the tone of that when that's being said on a video is very different to it being written down.
Yeah.
And I think I said to you, the first article that I saw, before it said what he said, it said he joked that.
Yeah.
And then in subsequent articles,
that was
he
taken out.
joked has been taken out.
Yeah.
And there's no tone there to suggest that it was even remotely a joke. So people read it and go, oh my God, I'm autistic, or I've got a friend or family member who's autistic, and that's terrible what he's saying. He's trivializing it all. And I mean, we're not Robbie Williams, so we can't say for certain what his intention was. But I recognise it in myself that I've made jokes about my autism and about my disabilities before in my life.
Yeah.
And like you say, things that we've said on this podcast that we could well and truly be cancelled for.
We really would.
But nobody wants to write articles about what we've said, thankfully, and use them to play into a narrative of people are all making it up about autism and they're just doing it so that they can excuse all of the behaviours, when in reality they're just rubbish people. And the fact that we've all thought that we were rubbish and lazy and too much for 30-40 years of our lives, trying to invalidate that when we've only just come to peace with the fact that we're not too much, that we're not lazy, that we're not rubbish, because we've finally got an explanation for why that is.
Yeah, and this is just how our brains work, and what our brains need to function and to thrive is different to what we had originally realized. And it made me really cross over the weekend. I was saying to you before, there's a lot of Robbie Williams's songs that to me read like ADHD. They're about ADHD. Like I was talking about Come Undone. And I used to, when I was a teenager, I used to really, really relate to that. It was one of my favorite songs at the time. And the contrast feels like ADHD. And so when Robbie was finding out about his neurodivergence and talking about it publicly, which is fantastic because he's got such a presence and he's raising awareness. And I love it when people talk about this stuff and their own experiences, because it really helps so many people. I was just like, that makes sense. That really makes sense. And there's other songs as well that, to me, it makes so much sense coming at it from a place of an undiagnosed person. And it really makes me cross when people just invalidate that and just feel like you're talking about human beings.
That's the difficulty, and that's sort of maybe a nice segue into the final thing that we want to briefly talk about. And we're not going to go into massive detail about it.
No.
But if somebody's on a platform and they're being vilified for what possibly was a choice of words that some people would have liked to have been a different choice of words, it's really dangerous to continue to say things like that, and you don't know what the person who's being spoke about, how is that going to make them feel? What do you want to achieve by it? Do you want them to not be here anymore? Do you want to make them feel rubbish about themselves? What do you want to do? And we've gone from not so long ago, the whole Be Kind movement with Caroline Flack, with the allegations with her and the media vilifying her and what happened with her. And I'm not saying that that's going to happen with Robbie Williams or Chris Packham.
Oh, God.
But it's almost like everybody's forgotten the fact that words and opinions have consequences.
Yeah. When you've got someone who is opening up about their own situation and then gets shut down from it, there's a massive amount of rejection. Like there's an enormous amount of rejection involved in the media. And I can't even imagine being someone who struggles with rejection sensitivity whilst standing on a stage and intrusive thoughts and low self-worth and a lot of the other traits that come with neurodivergence. When you amplify that on a
Yeah.
stage and when you have to listen to hundreds of different newspapers and news outlets and social media and all of that, all saying the same thing, that you've made a mistake and that you've said something wrong and that you've upset people and then you've invalidated people, when all you're trying to do is get your own validation or
Yeah,
talk
and
about your
sort
own
of
experience. I can't even comprehend how that must feel. But it's moving on to the other case that's happened in the UK media this week with Jason Arday.
the summary, as unbiased as we can make it, is that there's been allegations that a Cambridge professor in the UK had certain aspects of their story had potentially not added up, and that was in the process of being investigated, and the media have picked up on the fact that the professor was neurodivergent. It just hounded that person and ran constant stories about it rather than letting things take the course that they were going to take, has led to potential. Well, we don't know really. It's not been said whether or not he has died of natural causes or what has happened with him, but I can't imagine having whatever the truth is of it that comes out being spoken about like that in such a public forum constantly for somebody who probably hasn't had that much media coverage
Yes.
in life. I think there was coverage when he became a professor, when he was appointed in 2023, but not the ins and outs of whether or not he was telling the truth about certain things and whether or not he was even autistic or whether or not he was non-verbal when he was at school and going to friends and family members and saying, oh, was he autistic or was he non-verbal? Can you back this up? Must be incredibly frightening. What we were going to talk about is that lying or on the other side of the coin, truth telling can be something that's related to being neurodivergent as a coping strategy.
Yes. We will have to do it another time because we've been talking for too long. But
Yeah.
I mean, from my personal experience, I know that you're on the other end of this.
Yeah.
When I was in my teens, I lied a lot for various reasons and about some things that were too serious to be lying about, but I did anyway. Nobody got into trouble ever because of anything that I lied about, to clarify, but I am ashamed of some of the lies I told or have been ashamed of them in my life. And there's a lot about that and the reasons why it happens that we were going to go into, but we don't have
I think
time.
it potentially, we thought we could squeeze it in, but it potentially is a subject for
Its own
itself.
mental.
But essentially, whatever has happened with Jason Arday, it's just
Yeah. I mean,
really bad. And does that, even if worst case scenario, it was all lies, does that mean that it deserves the conclusion that it's had?
absolutely not. No, I mean, at the end of the day, there's so many reasons why we lie. There's so many reasons why we lie and why things spiral and get out of control. And I'm not saying that if there were lies involved and that's what was found out, that it's okay. You know, it's not okay. But at the same time, there's a difference between being not okay and being understandable. And there's so many reasons why, and we will never know now. We'll never have a chance to understand him because of the situation he was put in, because of the way that he was treated and vilified, and he'll never have a chance to defend himself against anything that was said because he was just completely obliterated by the media, and it's heartbreaking. And as somebody who understands why lies happen, it's not ever as straightforward as it seems.
It's not as straightforward as it seems, but the reality of it is it's a guilty before the investigation's completed, and that's unfair in itself and unjust in itself, whatever the outcome ends up being of it all.
Yeah, we will revisit that at a later date and the whole
Because
line
it is a
stuff.
topic, and it's been one that we've wanted to speak about for a while, or wanted to explore for a while,
It's
which
been
is
on the
why we
list.
hoped we could sort of like it was relevant to
this.
the media being absolutely, for the most part, very against neurodivergent people at the moment for whatever that agenda might be.
It's hard. It's difficult to be someone who's getting up every day and reading it. And so to be a target of that and one of those people that's been spoke about, yeah, I can't even comprehend, but I get very annoyed. And there's not very much really that annoys me enough to want to talk about it in public because I don't like to be divisive.
Before, yeah,
I don't like to be divisive. I get terrified of saying the wrong thing and upsetting somebody. And so I just don't say anything most of the time. But this really did annoy me. So that's been our main section.
And if we have said anything that has been unintentionally offensive or seemed to trivialise autism in this section of the podcast, it's not been intentional.
Disclaimer, our views are our own.
We're still learning about autism all the time. That's part of the reason why we do this podcast, to explore it and understand it ourselves.
Yeah.
And B, autistic and neurodivergent people are known for potentially saying things and not realising that they've said the wrong thing or done the wrong thing. So, yeah. Hopefully we've done it in the right way, but if we haven't,
forgive us.
Forgive us. Anyway, we're not doing a trait of the week. We don't have a random factoid of the week per se.
No, we've just got a couple of animals to mention,
use the jingle. So the animals are, courtesy of my friend and listener of the show,
we've had a message from a listener.
Woohoo!
The stink badger.
Stink badger.
Which
that isn't a badger. Spoilers.
It's not a badger. Is it? It's not a badger. No, it's
Hashtag not a badger.
It is
not
a
mushroom
member
either.
of the same genus that skunks are in.
Yes.
And also can release noxious substances from the same area as skunks do.
Yes.
And looks rather badger-like.
Looks a bit badger-like. It looks quite cool. It looks like a little mini anteater with a white mohawk.
And actually, the random factoid of the week, so we do have one, so we can put the jingle in.
And now for this week's random factoid.
Yay!
Is that sometimes stink badgers will occupy porcupines' burrows that porcupines have vacated, but sometimes they'll cohabit with porcupines. And we thought that made sense, because if there's one animal that a porcupine's not going to argue with, it's probably going to be a stink badger that can release noxious substances. Like, it's a good way to win an argument, isn't it?
Do you want not an interesting fact about porcupines, but an interesting fact about me?
Are you a porcupine?
I'm not actually a porcupine, but there's a film called We Made a Zoo.
Yeah.
I think that's what it's called. Have you heard of the film?
I've heard of it, yeah. So
it was
the first film that you're on about is...
It's the first film that me and my fiance watched together, right? And I'm quite well known amongst people that I watch films with for being easy to jump scare.
Oh, yeah.
And We Bought a Zoo, not We Made a Zoo, there's a porcupine, and at one point its bristles all go up. And I jumped. And so it's become, I say an in-joke, but I don't really find it funny, of my fiance's and mine, that every time he sees a porcupine, he's like, "Don't look!" and finds porcupines the most terrifying of all animals. I did jump 3 times in We Bought a Zoo. There wasn't really any reason for me to jump at all, but the porcupine was the first time, and I was just like, and we were sat on the sofa together, and he was like, "Did you just jump at that porcupine?" I was just like, yes, I did. I'm sorry. I am.
Well, now we see.
And there we go.
Got the solution, and the solution is stink
badgers. Yes, absolutely. And then I also wanted to mention banana slugs, because
why not?
Because the banana slug was something I found out about this morning when I was doing the New York Times MIDI crossword, as I do as the very cool, youthful person that I am. They've started doing streaks on the MIDI crossword, so I've now started doing that obsessively. I've got over a 1,500-day streak on the actual New York Times crossword, very nearly 1,600. And me and my fiance do the crossword every day. But the MIDI crossword has started having streaks. And so now, never mind, that's just another few minutes of my life every day that I'll lose. Banana slug and I was like, a banana slug? What's that? And it's a slug that looks like a banana. I mean, genuinely, that's what it is.
Yeah, if you don't like slugs, don't Google it because they're not the most pleasant of.
No,
Slugs aren't pleasant, but banana slugs are not pleasant.
they just look
But
like
they
bananas,
do.
but they're slugs. They're
They're
not
not. You
bananas.
can't like cut them up and put them on your pancakes,
Don't
or
eat
well,
them.
you could, but I would imagine
Probably wouldn't be very
you wouldn't
tasty.
want to. No.
It's not a good idea. But
And on that bombshell,
they exist. So there you go. That's our kind of animal fact related bit to just, lighten the load at the end of the
Yeah.
podcast.
Hmm.
Because it's been a bit of a heavy one.
Well,
Never
some of
mind.
it is. But maybe the media will stop writing rubbish about autism.
That would be nice, wouldn't it?
That'd be nice.
Living the dream.
Oh, maybe we'll be on the news next week.
Headlines. What are these idiots talking about?
These girls have got a podcast called
not-
That'll Be the Tism, and it trivializes autism. It does.
All of it trivializes autism. In the last episode, they were even confusing Terry Wogan and Paul McCartney. I mean, who do they even think they are?
Well, you were, I wasn't.
Yeah, that's true. It was just
I
always
know
me.
who both
I'll
of
get
those people
cancelled.
are.
I'll get
Yeah,
cancelled.
because
To...
you can't touch Wogan. I mean, you
No.
definitely can't touch him now because he's dead.
That would be weird. I mean, imagine.
Rather more than frowned upon and rather more than cancelled.
Let's not go
When
there.
we're going on the next outing, Emma, we're going to touch Terry Wogan.
Forget 6. Let's just, let's find Tezza.
Touching Terry Wogan. Next title of the podcast.
Yes. So hopefully we won't get cancelled before the next episode. Fingers crossed. I mean, I could get cancelled and you could carry on, take the mantle. And then it would just be that'll be the
Zoom. I can't just talk to myself. But yeah, it would be that'll be the Zoom then, wouldn't it? That'll be the tip.
Yeah. Yeah, we need to go back there.
I mean, that would attract a different audience, I expect. Anyway.
If you would like to sort of let us know how you feel about autism in the media and talk about slugs and any other animal facts, or if you have any questions about autism or our lives or everything in general, please do get in touch. We like talking to people sometimes, and contact us on our social media via our link tree, which is linktr.ee/that'll be the tism, or you can email us at that'llbethetism@gmail.com. And we are not sponsored by any of the people that we have mentioned in our podcast. I don't actually think we would have had lots of opportunities to use the not sponsored soundbite.
We'll just use it once now for Robbie Williams, Terry Wogan, Chris Packham, Uta Frith, Stink Badgers, Banana Slugs, Tokonatsu, Crochet, Six the Musical.
Have you been writing all of this down? You haven't?
No.
You just remember what we've talked about?
Yeah.
Huh. That's a good skill to have.
Porcupines.
Your mum.
We're not sponsored by... Well, sometimes I probably am sponsored by my mum.
I've not spoken about my mum at all, but I will be next time because I'm going on holiday with her on Saturday.
Hello, Emma's mum.
Mum dropped calling. Oh, the tomato. I brought you a tomato in a bag, Claire. We need to mention... We need to mention that.
Yeah, Emma brought me a tiny tomato in a bag. That's her new greeting in life.
Well, Claire
That's what you need to do every time you see anybody now, is just take them a tiny tomato in a bag.
Because I was talking about the tomato in the bag that I took my mum. And I said to Claire, do you want any tomatoes? Because we've got loads and loads and loads of tomatoes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway.
And I asked her if she wanted some tomatoes, and she said, I only want one in a bag. So I took a very small tomato in a very large bag. And do you know what she did? She squashed it.
I didn't do that on purpose.
Squashed the tomato that I'd carried carefully into Manchester.
No, the trouble was, Emma, unfortunately, that by the time I got home and realised that the tomato was still in my bag, it would not have been edible, so the tomato had to go in the bin, and I'm very sorry.
Ridiculous. Absolute joke.
There will be no more podcasts because Emma shall no longer speak to me for my
That's it.
treatment of the tiny tomato.
Done.
And on that note,
have a nice fortnight, everybody.
yeah.
Thank you for listening if you've made it this far. And we will catch you later.
Bye.
That'll be the Tism.